Good evening, everyone. This is Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing talk show. My name is Christian Karasevich, and tonight myself and my co-host Nick Rishwain, we're joined by a really special guest. We've got Kim as tonight's guest. Kim, I hope I'm saying your last name correctly. I think it's Boda. If that's right. Correct, just let us know. But I'm going to say a quick hello to everyone, and then we're going to bring Nick on, and then we're going to bring on Kim. Kim?
You bringing me in now?
1 second, actually. Yeah, just about ready to bring you in.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited for tonight. I'm happy to have Kim on. Kim and I have gotten to know each other through Snapchat originally, and I get to learn more about Kim and her services tonight.
So, Nick, I've got you on here on the show.
Excellent. Thank you, Christian. As Christian mentioned, I'm Nick Rishwain, co-host of Social Chatter, and been doing this with Christian for about 6 months now. And as he also described, we have Kim Boda. Kim is a a realtor in Big Bear, California. You can find her and you're a real estate consultant, I believe, Kim, not just a realtor, but a real estate consultant as well. And she does a lot of other things. She's got some awards. She is a previous Realtor of the Year award in the local community. She's got a great website, kimboda.com, which really fits the Big Bear. The website really fits how I envision the Big Bear community. So I like that, Kim. Also 2008 president of the Big Bear Association Realtors, 2009 past president, Big Bear Association Realtors, and she's going to share some more with us in just a moment. If you'll bring Kim in for me, I'd like her to elaborate on some of her experience, because she does a lot more than just real estate, even though I had reached out to her for her real estate knowledge for the show tonight.
Welcome, Kim.
Hi.
How are you, Kim?
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Kim,
Very well,
I covered the real estate stuff. Tell us more. There's a lot more to you than the real estate. Tell us a little bit more.
Well, I've been in real estate for quite some time. I was licensed in 1992. And so I've been doing real estate for quite some time. But I'm also a coach and a corporate coach and trainer, and I specialize in the fundamentals of neuroscience. So I work for an organization called Change Your Mind, Create New Results. And what's really cool is that I help people make changes in their life, difficult changes, and I help them traverse through difficult changes through neuroscience and my training program.
Very cool. How did you get into that, Kim? How did that become a part of your life?
Well, I really was heavily affected during the economic downturn. I lost 3 homes, and I had almost $100,000 saved up in my savings account. So I was feeling really, really good. And about 3 years later, in 2010, that's when I lost everything, and it was pretty difficult. And so I pretty much hit rock bottom, and couldn't get out of bed one day, and I had to call the doctor and say, hey man, I've got work to do, I've got bills to pay, and I can't get out of bed. And so basically I was diagnosed with depression. Mm-hmm. And I discovered meditation again and mindfulness. And so mindfulness is also about self-awareness. And one of the things that I do in my neuroscience training is I help people to become self-aware of what's going on in their life and to help them in their businesses. But so through meditation, 8 weeks later, after I had read this amazing book on meditation, I decided that I didn't need medication anymore, and things were changing. My life looked up, and I became even more successful than before. So I've got this great team, the Win Group. I work with three amazing people, Tim Brigham and Karen LaRuin, and we did $26 million in sales last year as a team, and I'm really proud of it. And so, and I really have to credit mindfulness and meditation. So, my path has changed in that I discovered neuroscience through that book that I read. And then in doing so, I became a certified meditation instructor as well. So, my goal is to help people and to continue learning. And that's the path that I'm on right now. So
excellent. And it sounds like now your knowledge of social media, it sounds like you use it the way I use it, and the way Christian uses it's a tool for your business. It's a tool for you to communicate with potential clients, and it is not what you do full time. You are not a social media marketer necessarily.
Not at all.
Right.
No, but I do find that if you want to do social media and you want to incorporate it into your business, you do need to understand it. Unless you just want to, delegate it to someone else, but that can be, precarious if you don't really know what social media is all about.
Right, and in some professions, it can have dire consequences because there are rules to certain sorts of advertising in certain professions. So you need to delegate to somebody who knows you and knows your business and knows the rules for that. Right. So let's get started. Shall we jump in here, Christian? Are you ready for our first topic tonight?
Yeah, sure. Let's start. What do we have first?
So our first topic tonight is Facebook. It has announced group payments via Messenger. So this is you've been able to send and receive money on Messenger to individuals, one-to-one, me to Kim to you, you to me, however you did it. You could do that through Messenger, but it was only from one person to another. Just two person-to-person payments were the only thing that was available at the time. And now we have the ability to, and this starts for Android and desktop, and this story came out April 11th. So now on Android and on desktop, you can send or receive money between groups of people on Messenger. It's free, simple, fast, and secure. Free is the interesting part. Much like Snapchat or Snapcash, they're not charging any fees to, and this has just got to drive banks nuts. They're not charging any fees for this type of payment. So you can select, you can create a group of people. Oftentimes, Social Chefs has the group Christian and I and whoever our guest is going to be. We're in a group and we're communicating that way. So if there was a way, if we had to add more people on there and we had to make payments to those people, you could do it right there in the group, and you could select exactly who you owed what to or who owed you what, because it appears that you can bill as well for them. Hey, you owe me this much for the pizza party, as the video in this article has discussed. So I think this is an interesting feature. I think it's a good feature for those times that there are shared payments. Kim, what do you think about this? Do you think this is good? Do you think businesses can use this? Would you use it?
I would use it. I don't know that I would use it that much because as an independent contractor, I have, I pay directly to certain contractors that I work with. But on the same token, I still think it's a great feature. I just don't know, it seems like, lunches, group lunches, and perhaps a group gift that might work in that regard. But for the most part, I'm already kind of using Venmo, so I'm still doing it with the individuals. But I think it's great. I think it's a nice feature.
Yeah, I think it's great too, and and that's interesting. It seems like it's probably everybody wants to get in this game of essentially banking, and the way that many of the social media companies seem to be doing it is by not offering any fees to begin with. Christian, what do you think? Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
Also, we have Will Friedner is saying hello, Kim. He's here and watching us on Facebook Live. I'm assuming you know him because he's saying hello. And
hello.
And Christian, what are your thoughts here for group payments?
I'm really glad that they're finally doing this. I like, if I'm a business, for instance, and I'm thinking about how I could use this. I think this would come in handy. For instance, if I'm working with some of my employees, I might say, hey, you know what? I go ahead and pay for stuff, and then we can split make the payment easily, without having to make multiple transactions. Everything's pretty much done through this group messaging feature. I think overall, I like the fact that you guys brought up the banks thing, because a lot of people, when they go to pay for anything, it doesn't matter if I'm going to pay an invoice, for instance. I don't like paying fees on an invoice. And that adds up rather quickly. And so as a result, I like the fact that, you can do this without fees. I think this is actually going to put a strain on banks. Where are they going to get that money from, for instance, that they're,
right.
Are they going to increase the fees? What are they going to do to basically cover, to bring the customers into the bank and say, hey, you know what? We got to get into this game. Maybe they'll have a chat bot. I don't know. So,
yeah, well, the banking industry. The banking industry has been trying to get into my industry and the real estate industry for a long time, and they are a very powerful force. So I actually like the fact that they're not offering fees on these apps, and of course, Facebook group payments. I just think that you have to be really careful when you're dealing with entities like banks, because they're extremely powerful, and just got to keep tabs on that.
And extremely well funded.
Oh yeah.
I think this will bother them, and they'll be probably fighting for legislation to be passed that requires some sort of so that they still have a competitive advantage. But Venmo and many of these social platforms all have this ability. I believe, Christian, didn't I pay you through Snapcash for the spectacles?
Yep. Yeah. Yes, we did. Yes.
No fees involved with that. So this is, I think for the most part, this is a good feature. I'm not sure, like I mentioned when we were pre-gaming this show, I don't know that I have enough friends who actively use Messenger in my actual geographic area that I spend time with, not just my social media community, but those that I actually spend time with who use Messenger enough that they would find this useful, or that they've connected even a credit card to Messenger yet, so that this would group payments would be an option. But I imagine that will grow.
I see those changes too. Perhaps banks coming out with their own kind of platform, and using, like, I live in a really small town. And I could see a small bank, perhaps the small banks could get on board and say, working with group payments within a banking system or the banking, affiliate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very possible. Let's bounce from this one into introducing better insights into how your ads work. This is also another Facebook story. I don't want to read a whole bunch out of this. Christian, you can come back to me if come back and maybe point out something if you think there's something really important that people need to see in this article. But it appears what they're doing is they're simplifying their delivery insights with essentially their delivery insights dashboard features an updated interface that provides in-depth auction metrics and guidance for interpreting fluctuations in performance. So it just seems to me that their ad interface, their dashboard, is being simplified and kind of streamlined. Did I miss something in this article?
You didn't really miss that much. As far as what they're doing, they are simplifying Facebook ads, but the main reason why is because, a lot of people that are using Facebook ads, they already find it very complex to be able to run Facebook ads. And at the same time, once they're making some sort of payment, or they want to look at their analytics. They don't have the background to really do this sort of thing because they go in there and they're like, well, what does this mean or what does that mean? A lot of people make the assumption with Facebook ads that they need to spend a ton of money. And, the bottom line is you don't, throwing more cash at something is not necessarily going to mean you're going to get better results. And that's kind of what their goal of this is. They want, people to be able to go in and see two different types of charts. One, they want to see, okay, if I increase my daily budget, what's potentially going to happen with the results, of doing that. But also they want people to be able to also understand more of who they're targeting because, it really comes down to the same thing. If people think like, hey, I need to just throw a whole bunch of money at something, they're expecting to get more results. And Facebook's trying to kind of say, hey, you know what? You're going to get results, but this is the kind of results you're going to get based on the dollar amount you've set and whatnot. Like they want to make sure those expectations, I think, are set for people who aren't very familiar with Facebook ads and what they, really should be getting out of them.
Okay. Kim, have you done Facebook ads in the past? Do you use it?
I did one.
Okay.
I did one, and I was just like what Christian was saying. I was just like, I'm intrigued. Let me see what happens. It's like throwing pasta on the wall and seeing, if it sticks. And I wasn't very intentional, but the process was kind of interesting. I found it to be a little cumbersome, as a real estate consultant. It's like, I sell real estate, and I don't want to sit down in front of a dashboard and try to figure out. That's the thing about all of this social media stuff is it's changing so quickly that it's hard to keep up. But I did a Facebook ad, and I realized after I got the results and I looked at all the graphs, I realized that I needed to be a lot more intentional in target audience.
So much more targeted, and I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. I'm in online marketing, essentially my day job in legal marketing, and I'll tell you, I get a lot of what you just mentioned, Kim, which is I don't want to sit down in front of a dashboard. I have to constantly explain analytics to members, and most people don't want to look at it, and I think that, and even when I'm in the Facebook insights, it can be pretty overwhelming when you're looking at it. So I'm hoping that the simplification of the dashboard helps, and that people can see what is working and what is not easier. Is that what you're saying, Christian, is happening with this?
Yeah, that's basically what's happening with ads. A lot of people, they're running results and they don't. They're trying to do it themselves because they want to hire a professional, and as a result, they're running their ads, but they're not really spending the necessary time that they need to actually go through them and really understand what's working, what's not working.
Okay.
I wanted to share with you guys. I went to Social Media Marketing World a few weeks ago, and one gal who was one of the speakers was talking about Facebook ad strategies. And she was even talking about how even the shape of the photo that you post, like let's say you're posting a photo ad, to further your marketing, your business, and the square-shaped photo does better than a sort of a rectangular photo or any other kind of photo. So I thought that was interesting. But, she ran some ads, and she kind of was looking at the results. Well, let me run this square-shaped photo, or let me run this photo that is...
And that is an interesting thing about it, and looking at analytics will tell you much of that, and oftentimes you don't get that if you're not really reviewing your analytics or understanding what you're looking at with your analytics. Let's move on to the third item tonight. Do we still have Kim? Is Kim still live?
She was. I wonder. Yeah, she's still there.
She's still there? Okay, can you hear?
She might have dropped off, actually.
All right. Do we have to call her back in, or how does that work?
Let me see if she calls back in, actually. Let me see if I can add
her
back.
I'm going to go into the third item tonight.
Sure, let me pull that up.
and that is the new educational tool against misinformation. This is also Facebook related item. And let's see what we have here. So you probably have seen this, a new educational tool against misinformation. We know people want to see accurate information on Facebook. At least that's what they learned after the election of 2016 when there was this ongoing fake news thing. So false news and hoaxes are harmful to our community. This article came out last week. They say false news and hoaxes are harmful to our community and make the world less informed. All of us have a responsibility to curb the spread of false news. Is she back?
I'm back. I'm sorry.
That's
I don't
okay.
know. Oh,
that's okay.
Okay, I'm accepting. Oh, wait. Okay, hold on just a second.
All right. I'm going to continue on while you guys figure that out. I'm going to talk about the new educational tool. So many of you have already seen this on Facebook. It pops up oftentimes when you join on the desktop or on your mobile device, and it gives you this kind of instructions, tips for spotting false news. And the three ideas that they've been focusing on, where they've been focusing their time and efforts here are, one, disrupting economic incentives. Because what they've discovered is that most false news or fake news is financially motivated. Like if it gets clicks and it gets eyeballs, and there's some financial incentive there. They're working on building some new products to curb the spread of false news, and they're helping people make more informed decisions when they encounter false news. So they're trying to help you, which is essentially this item that I've been seeing pop up in my Facebook feed, tips for spotting false news. They're trying to inform people as to how you can identify it, realize that it's not real, and maybe move on to something more important. And so that's where we're at with this particular tool. They said when people click on the educational tool at the top of their newsfeed, they will see more information and resources in the Facebook Help Center, including tips on how to spot false news, such as checking the URL of the site, investigating the source, and looking for other reports on the topic. Now, if you're online all day, every day, like Christian is and I am and others, you kind of got used to seeing some of this stuff and looking when something looked funny or sounded funny. You kind of look for it and try to authenticate it somewhere else. But not everybody is online all day, every day. So their newsfeed is a place for authentic communication. Improving news literacy is a global priority, and this is them doing their part on it. Christian, do we have Kim back yet?
We did, and I think she's...
I'm here.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Oh, she's here. Okay, excellent.
Hello.
Yeah, here we go.
Good. And I don't know if we have her video back yet or not. You'll have to... I guess we're going to find that out in a moment.
It should be back.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's back. Okay, excellent. Sorry, I'm delayed. I'm over here on Facebook's got a little delay, so I'm watching. So, what do you guys think about this? I think it's a good step in the right direction. I feel like I'm pretty comfortable identifying what might be fake, what might be real, and looking to authenticate it in other places. But Kim, what are your thoughts about this educational tool? Have you gone to it when it's popped up in your newsfeed? Have you tried it out to see what it's about?
I haven't yet. What I normally do is go to Snopes or one of those websites. But yeah, I'm just amazed at how many people don't try to find the real story behind anything. Yeah, I know it's difficult, but yeah, I think it's great.
I think it's good. It surprises me how many people will buy right in, and I'll be talking to folks that I know who are educated, knowledgeable, intelligent people, and they'll tell me something or forward something, and I'm going, it doesn't pass the smell test.
Right.
Why did you not think to investigate this further before passing it on? Christian, what are your thoughts?
I like the fact that Facebook is doing this, and I think the one thing they're doing by adding in these very simple, tips, and just suggestions to help people spot this sort of thing is, I think they're actually putting the responsibility back on the user. And I think that's a really smart thing to do, because most people, they believe anything that comes across their Facebook newsfeed. And unfortunately, it's like the Onion, for instance. Everybody, you read something about the Onion, for instance, and they're advertising like hey, we've got this silly like Christmas box, for instance, that you can give somebody whatever type of gift it is, but they give these really odd gifts sometimes, and people believe this sort of thing. And so I like the fact that they're putting the responsibility back on the user. It really should be there, because if they have such a big community of users on Facebook, that they should be validating, in a way, they should be validating this. This actually also reminds me of a feature that Amazon has. I think I'm not sure if it's still around, but it was called Mechanical Turk. And so what it was a way for people to be able to complete tasks on Amazon for, basically small amounts of money, and we're talking like cents here on certain things, but it was leveraging the community to help get tasks done.
Okay.
And I like the fact that Facebook is doing this as well. Well, while they're not paying people, I like the fact though that they're encouraging the community to say, hey, you know what? If something's not right, speak up on that. Help us fix it, instead of add more noise to the already crowded and really busy newsfeed.
Right. There's no way that they could police 1.4, 1.5 billion people posting things. So they're basically calling on the user to do it, which is understandable from a business perspective. We certainly can't do this. What are you guys' thoughts on? I want to change it, because honestly, if it's funny, I don't care if it's false or not.
I was just going to say, I love The Onion. I did it. I've reposted some of the things on The Onion just because I think they're freaking hilarious.
Exactly.
And I do think the world needs a lot of humor, and that's why I love Nick so much, because you're hilarious, and I love your sense of humor. But, I think there's one thing between sarcastic humor and sort of like disingenuous information. Like the other day, let's just talk about false news stories, for example. The United Airlines, this was the first United Airlines story of last week, where these gals came on board and they were refused because they weren't dressed properly. Well, when I first read the first article, I didn't know that they were employees and that they were having to abide by a dress code. It was like the story read, they weren't dressed properly, they were kicked off the plane. And so this is gossip. This isn't, that there were things missing. And sometimes when facts are missing, that's just as disingenuous. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Anyways.
And I didn't realize that, Kim. I remember that story. That was about the leggings, right? And I thought to myself, I've been on flights where people are wearing nothing but leggings. I can't imagine an airline throwing...
It was an employee dress code, because they were on standby. How some of the employees, they don't look like employees. They're just there and they want to get on the airplane. Well, these were employees apparently.
Okay.
So that makes a lot more sense to me, by the way, now that I hear that as well, because I was thinking, it was, I didn't realize they were employees as well. So
they were family, either they were employees or family members who, get the luxury of enjoying the perks. There's a dress code, and
so there's a dress code.
You would have to abide by that,
So in that case, the false news was actually basically by omission. They left out facts that would have changed how people reacted probably to that story. And that's it. Now we've received more and more facts about the other story for United, about the injured passenger, and I
haven't read up the latest. What's the latest?
That now he's filing a lawsuit, as he should, as he absolutely should in my estimation, and that he's still in the hospital with he lost 2 teeth, he has a broken nose and a concussion.
Whoa!
So, this is a story but this story was vetted by so many people, and we had so much video of it that I think, okay, well, we're pretty confident this is exactly what happened, because we watched it happen. Now we had to get some real facts.
there's a reason for people to be upset.
Yeah, that one was a little overwhelming at the point. Anyway, I don't want to get too stuck on that one, but should we move on to introducing Twitter Lite? Now, I'm a huge fan of Twitter and an avid user, and this is really interesting. I think this is trying to I would say that this is Twitter trying to increase their user base by making it easier. So every day, this comes from their own blog, every day millions of people around the world use Twitter to see what's happening right now. It's how I use it. It's how I got absolutely all the news I could about the United Airlines instance, all came from Twitter. There's several barriers to using Twitter, including slow mobile networks, expensive data plans, or lack of storage on mobile devices. While smartphone adoption grew to 3.8 billion connections by the end of 2016, 45% of mobile connections are still slower on slower 2G networks. So today, this came out April 6th, Twitter rolled out Twitter Lite, which is a new mobile web experience which minimizes data usage, loads quickly on slower connections, is resilient on unreliable mobile networks, and takes up less than 1 megabyte on your device. You can actually store mobile.twitter.com on your device as though it's an app, but it's not. It's a link to the mobile site. So it provides all the key features of Twitter on your timeline, tweets, direct messages, trends, profiles, media uploads, notifications, and more. I mean, it really does quite a bit. I have not tested it yet, but I think I'm going to. And they also have a data saver mode, which further reduces the amount of mobile data used. I think this is a good step by Twitter they've had a few good steps in the right direction in the last few months, but they desperately need to make more positive steps, especially with the news today that the shareholders are wanting to turn it into a co-op rather than into a for-profit company. What are your thoughts about this, Kim? Are you an active Twitter user?
I have a Twitter account, and I usually use it to get my news. So if there's any kind of breaking news, I like to go to Twitter because you get it right away. But as far as really using it, I do know that they've incorporated the video, and I think this is a step in the right direction because using video is definitely laggy on any kind of platform you use. And the fact that, if they want more people to engage with their video and the new things that they're incorporating, I think that this is definitely a step in the right direction. I myself don't use it. There's so many options out there right now, but that's not to say that I won't. But yeah, no, I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. And I have checked it out. I have the app downloaded on my phone, and I think I have to delete the app and save the link because when I went to the link, it still took me to my app for some reason. So so I think I have to.
I have to try that out too. Christian, what are your thoughts on this?
So I've actually had the chance to play with this. I had a chance to play with this. I really like this. I used it on my laptop, and I thought it was extremely fast. I did it during I was doing a Twitter chat. And it was so much easier to follow the conversation. One thing I noticed, for instance, when I was using the previous version of just going, using twitter.com, for instance, I was noticing that I'd scroll to the top and I couldn't quite get to the top because Twitter kept trying to direct me to a different place. So I switched over this. I tried it this week. I think it's fantastic. I love how lightweight it is. I think if you're going to be participating in tweets that are, that need you to kind of be really fast with things, this is perfect for that. And I also like the fact that they're doing this, to reach into developing countries, because I think, as you knew, a couple weeks ago, they got rid of, they'd gotten rid of the allowing Twitter SMS, which essentially was how it kind of got started. So as a result, when you get rid of that, you need to have a lightweight version for people to be able to still use. And this, I think, is going to be a really good solution.
Yeah, it's strange. I wonder if these two things are connected, Christian. But I thought I noticed you, or at least Social Chef's Twitter account,
Yes.
Being much more active in the last day or two. Is that when you when you downloaded this?
That was actually, yes.
Interesting. Okay, so you noticed it being much better, and you've been pretty active on Twitter in the last couple of days, which is interesting. So I do want to take a moment here to thank our attendees, our audience, and we've got Lisa Monks checking in with us. She's been here for a while. I want to thank Lisa. We've had Melissa Giambasciani here with us. Although she's in and out, I'm sure she's chasing children around. Joe Wilson is here, and we've had Nicole Abood and several others. My cousin Chad Smith checked in. So thank you all for watching. We appreciate it, and happy to have you here. Moving on to the fifth topic, and some people will be thrilled with this, others will not. YouTube will no longer allow creators to make money until they reach 10,000 views. So this is in an effort to, what they said, combat bad actors, where people were creating accounts that uploaded content owned by other people, sometimes big record labels or movie studios, sometimes other popular YouTube creators. They just take the content, use it as their own, and hope to get paid by getting views. So in an effort to combat this, YouTube has announced a change to its partner program. And this article came out, this was also last week. There was a lot of stories last week. That's why we pushed some of them to this week. From now on, creators won't be able to turn on monetization until they had 10,000 lifetime views on their channel. What are your thoughts? Kim, are you a YouTuber? Have you been active on YouTube?
Actually, it's funny that we're talking about this. One of the things that I'm getting ready to incorporate is a blog, and for my content, and just to stimulate marketing for my business, my neuroscience business. And that was a little sad when I saw that. I was kind of sad, But on the same token, I feel like it's just going to foster quality. And, people that are walking the straight and narrow, that want to do things right. So I always thought it was unfair, just odd that people would, piggyback on someone else's success. And it just was, I thought that was wrong. But yep. I'm glad to see that maybe they're being a little more self-aware about this, and conscientious and conscious about what's being done, because it's kind of out of control.
Yeah, it is. I think this is protection of copyright is big. Our friend and former guest Joe Wilson's in the crowd, and he says that somebody had stolen one of his pieces of content, which I'm not sure you guys are aware of this.
I didn't know that.
High quality piece of content that Joe did. It's just hilarious. It is called Tickle Me Harder. It is a Tickle Me Elmo pornography. Very kind of cartoonish. It's hilarious. It's what you kind of would expect from a Joe Wilson joint. And it is just hilarious, but somebody took that and ripped it and put it up on their channel to try and take advantage, because it has, I think, over 600,000 views or something like that. Does it not, Joe? Tell us in the chat, if you will. But so people want to get that and steal that, and something he created, and a hilarious video that he created, and they want to get the benefit of it. Christian, what are your thoughts?
Go ahead. What was that, Kim?
I was just going to say, they do it so quickly too. When they see something go viral, you can find it. Mm-hmm. They grab it quickly.
And I want to say, Nick, thanks for telling me what that video was, because I was about to pull that up and show it to everybody. I
wrote it down too.
So
you guys should go and watch it later.
I want to go check it out.
But I do want to say, a couple of things. Like I've had this happen with my videos as well. I've had I've got quite a couple of videos. I've got a couple with over 1 million views on them, and people were basically pulling them off my channel, putting them up as their own, and then basically taking over a spot, outranking me at that point, on YouTube. So I am actually really glad to see that they are going to crack down on this. I think that, one, there's too much of, people, it's too easy for people to take someone else's videos and put them up. I'm going to say this again, it's too easy for people to be able to, for instance, like let's say it's something that happens in a sporting event, or let's say it's a business. Somebody takes some sort of video of a business at an event that they weren't supposed to be recording, and they put this up, and they're the only video up because everyone else is following the rules. I'm glad to see them doing this because as a result, those people are capitalizing on, they're getting press all over the place because, hey, the average person who writes a news article, they don't know that somebody else took this from somebody else. So I like the fact they're doing that, and I think at the same time, Kim, as you mentioned, like this is going to help hopefully improve the quality of YouTube video content because it's going to, I think, eliminate a lot of that duplicate content. If somebody basically copying somebody else's video into, and positioning it as their own, and helping, the creator get the recognition they deserve.
Right.
Exactly.
And Joe makes the point. He says, if you can't put in the work to get 10,000 views, your channel's probably going nowhere anyway. and that's people's, so that, and I think that's just what people are doing when they're stealing content. Like, you just said, Christian, they don't want to do the work to get to the views, so they want to use somebody else's. So I think that's I have nowhere near 10,000 views with Legal Tech Live or even what I do at experts.com in our day job. I don't know that we even have 10,000 views, but I think that's I'm fine with it. Okay, well, we're not going to make any money off the YouTube channel right now. It's never been necessarily the goal of what we're doing with YouTube is to just get hundreds of thousands of views and make money off of it, but would it be a nice option to have in the future? Sure, it would. So I think this is a good goal. And I think we need to move it along here into our last item because we got a couple of tools that we're still going to get to. Is that right?
Actually, I want to hang on this YouTube topic real quick if we can. Just for a second.
Sure.
What I want to talk about real quick is just, hey, if somebody can't get 10,000 views, like what are some things that they can be doing? So, if you're a business, for instance, and you're just starting out, I'll say this, like when I first created my first video, I had hardly any views on that video. And, what I did was I spent time looking at, well, what kind of content am I creating? Am I creating content that people actually are going to be interested in, that they're going to be searching for? And the reason I mention this is because, a lot of times people just create video because, it's easy to do. And you have to have a purpose behind why you're creating a video, why you're writing a blog post. And it actually starts with keywords. And I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to say that it doesn't matter if you're writing a blog post or creating a video. It starts with keyword research. Like, what are you actually going to be writing about? Are you going to write about something that people are then searching for? If you want to figure out something that, to do a video on, go to YouTube, put a topic in the search box and see what other videos come up. If you get a lot of results that come up, great. Like, look at the videos and see what they're doing and say, hey, what's my style? What can I do to help my content stand out? Now, with that, you also have to optimize the content. So it's not just like, let me just put a title in there. Let me put in, a description and put some tags in. Like, all those things play together. So you want to have, a topic that you pick. You want to put it into the title. You want to put it into the description. You want to put it into the tags. But you also want to use, for instance, from a tagging perspective, other terms that are related to what you're talking about. So, for example, if you're talking about, like, let's use real estate, for instance. You might talk about real estate. If you're talking about selling your home, maybe you want to use the term sell your home. You might want to use, maybe if you're talking about contracts, maybe you want to talk about what are some other terminology, that comes up when somebody goes to sell their home? Like what, the buyer's agent, the seller's agent?
Your marketing plans, what's, that sort of thing. There are a lot, yeah.
So you want to talk about those sorts of things. And if you need help, like as far as like coming up with, keywords or coming up with optimization, Nick, I think you're going to post the link, but a tool I recommend everybody is TubeBuddy. If you go to socialchefs.com/go/TubeBuddy, that's actually going to take you to their site, and they have a very, very powerful tool that can actually help you like look at the keywords you're picking. Am I picking a keyword that has a lot of people searching for it? Is it a keyword that has a lot of high competition? They also have some really great checklists that they provide as well. So every time you publish a video, you can shoot right down all those checklists. So for people that say, hey, I can't get 10,000 views, if YouTube is going to be your video marketing strategy, make sure you have some of the, you're doing the due diligence every time you're posting content. Don't just make a video and put it up. Go through that checklist every single time. I do that with every single piece of content I create. It takes a lot of time, but you're going to see bigger rewards with it. You're going to get more views on it. YouTube might say, hey, you know what? This is really good content. We want this at #1 on YouTube and Google. Right. So that's what I wanted to get into real quick. So thanks for
Yep. And Joe Wilson in the comments says he's downloading it now. And so that's a good recommendation. So let's get to our last story tonight and get to a couple of tools, a couple of other tools. This was sort of the big story for this week, but many of us from the Snapchat community don't find it particularly big, but it is sort of the ongoing battle between Instagram and Snapchat. Today we're launching, this was on April 11th, today we're launching the new Direct. This is Instagram Direct. To make it fast and easy to turn any conversation into a visual conversation with photos and videos. Texts and reshares will now appear in the same thread with disappearing photos and videos, so you can seamlessly go back and forth with your friends. This is like sending just a video snap or a video message. Much of what you can do now in Messenger and Snapchat, it seems to be, you can do now in Instagram. In fact, I sent one of these messages to Melissa, one of our regulars here, Melissa G. I sent I believe it's a disappearing message on Instagram before the show started. I have not heard back. I'm not sure if she even saw it yet, because I think people are trying to get used to this still. What are your thoughts, Kim?
It just reminds me of Snapchat all over again, and the competition between Instagram and Snap. So, but I love the platform. I think it's awesome. I think it's great to be able to, direct message people
I have
within
fun
a platform.
both.
So
I use them differently, but I have fun on both. I find content that I like on both. So I think that this is good. I'm surprised, really, that this. I thought this option already existed. I guess I haven't used it. I just assumed, because I spend more of my time in Snapchat, I guess I assumed this already existed. Christian, what do you think?
So what they're doing with this actually is they are combining. So they're actually combining the messaging features. So now you're going to be able to have, you can do the direct message, which is the private message, the Twitter direct message, the same type thing. But they're also then tying in the disappearing photos and videos as well. So you can kind of alternate back and forth between the two.
Right.
I like the fact that they're doing this. One thing though, I think there's going to be some confusion probably, because you can send a disappearing photo. I'm going to quote this. So it says, send a disappearing photo or video to let your friends know what you're up to, a funny selfie to capture the mood, or share what's happening around you. Here's how it works. So they talk about, swipe left into Direct and tap the new blue camera icon to take a disappearing photo or video, or tap the blue icon in an existing thread. As always, swiping right from feed will take you directly to the camera. So that's their process. They want you to click this blue camera, but when you receive a disappearing message, they're going to be highlighted in blue in your inbox. Great. But I think that's the part that's going to be really confusing for people, because if you look at these screenshots that I have here, I grabbed a couple of shots from Instagram's blog here, but we have, the first one. Great. Here's my, direct features, and the items in blue are supposedly the items that are going to be disappearing. I don't know. To me, I think that there's too many colors going on, too many different things going on that can lead to a lot of confusion. So I like the feature, but I think that still it's a lot to really kind of keep up with
Yeah, it's. I'm not sure. I got to tell you, I'm not sure what I sent. I don't know if what I sent is going to disappear or if it's recorded. But I sent a direct message that was video, and I'm not sure what I sent. So it'll be interesting to see. And in fact, I don't even see a history of it. So was it sent or not sent? I don't see a history of it in my direct messages now.
And by the way, if you are a business, the one thing you're also going to want to remember here is, I would recommend testing this because you want to make sure that whatever you're sending, you actually kind of know what you're doing versus just send a message, and assume that it's going to be a disappearing message. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think so too.
And if people want to get this, by the way, all you have to do is go update your Instagram app. I think at the time I didn't have this yet, so I was noticing that it was taking a little bit more time to get. So
right. Okay, so Christian, does anybody else have anything on Instagram? Our big story Instagram imitation, or are we ready for? Oh, and by the way, Kim, Joe and I think we both agree here that you've got the perfect set behind you there. Your setup, your staging looks amazing. So,
well, if you watch my Snapchat story, you'll see that I did all of this because I'm preparing to vlog.
Oh, okay, good. So that goes hand in hand with our YouTube story for tonight. So that's great. And
I did a Snapchat story on it yesterday and today. So
okay,
I did a big reveal today.
Excellent. Okay,
it looks very good.
All right, it does. It looks very nice. Okay, so Christian, tell me what we got in terms of tools for tonight, and then let's wrap it up.
Okay, so I've got 2 tools tonight for everybody. Both of these are free tools. The first one, you probably might have heard a little bit about this. This is Clips, and it's an app made by Apple, only available on your iOS devices. I don't expect them to port this to Android anytime soon, but what it does is it allows you to record. Basically, it's funny, like Vine shut down, but basically what this app does is it lets you record short videos. You can apply really neat filters, animated text, graphics, emoji, music, and so forth to your videos that you create. So you can basically create these videos literally in seconds and then share them on your social media channels. Now, what is a really cool feature tied within this is, for example, let's take this image here. We have this guy that says, "Dress to impress, wear a bow tie." Now, normally when you're creating any sort of video or photo and you want to apply some text, they put a layer on there and you have to type it out. Well, the way that the Apple Clips app works is it takes what you speak and it converts it into text and it puts it over top the photo or the video. So this is, in a way, it's almost like a little bit of, I want to say a little bit of AI going on here, Nick.
I've only played with it once so far, and I have to play with it more, but I have that crazy thing going on with the audio on my iPhone where the actual phone app won't pick up my audio, and nor will Clips. It's not picking up my audio. But something like Snapchat and Instagram, they pick up my audio fine, so I don't know what's going on.
Now, well, we can see what we can do to work on that. But I would say, it's very similar to recording almost like a Vine. The interface is a little different because you can't really reorder anything. It's just, I will say this, it takes a little, I thought it took a little getting used to when you first launch it to kind of understand their interface. What did you think, Nick? Did you think it was kind of difficult to use or easy to use?
When I couldn't hear myself to send an insulting message to my cousin, I was like, well, then I don't have a use for this right now. If I can't send it to him and he can't hear the bad things I'm saying about him, then it really limits what I can do with this, which is how I generally test just about any new tool but I didn't think it was all that when you think about where I spend a good deal of time on Snapchat and how that is not particularly intuitive, I didn't think that this was I didn't think this was that complicated.
Okay. Kim, have you tried this one out yet?
I have. I was watching Sonia Figueroa. She's a Chicago real estate agent, and we're friends on Snap. And she had downloaded it and was actually demonstrating it on Snap the other day. And I thought it was interesting because what's great for real estate agents is that you can open this up, start recording. You could be in a home, you could be on a multiple listing caravan, and you see a property that you like, and you just start talking about it, and it recognized my voice. But one of the things that I had heard at Social Media Marketing was that it's great to add verbiage to your videos, because when people are scrolling through on their mobile devices, they're not apt to open it, but if they see the text, they're more apt to, like, they can't hear you, but they can see the words, and then they're more apt to click on it and open it up. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I definitely will be using clips.
Yeah, and the other thing you can also do with this is you can, here's the thing, you can use it stock out of the box, record something, but you could also plan out some of your videos, and you can record, for instance, there's tons of apps that do this sort of thing. So what you can do is you can actually record different parts with the Clips app, and then you could share those on a specific network. Or if you want to, you could actually combine all of these things, like use that as one style, and maybe you use Flipagram or something like that. Combine all these things into a YouTube video, and you've got a nice, piece of content that you can put up, like a sizzle reel or something. So, fun little app for you.
Yeah, very cool.
I love graphics, so I'm all over. I love Canva, and I like to dabble in all of that, so that'll be fun.
Excellent. And what else do we have, Christian?
So the last app we have tonight it's actually very similar. It's almost along the same vein. This one's called Hype Type, and it's a text and typography app, great for creating stories. But what it does is it lets you take some of your existing content, and you can automatically add styles and different motion typography to your photos or your videos. Again, this one's a freemium app, meaning it's free with some additional upgrades if you want to unlock certain things. But this one is actually really cool as well, because, and I try to pick out something that's a little different, because what a lot of people are doing is, everybody's using the same apps and the same tools. And as a result, it doesn't matter what your story is the most important thing, but it doesn't matter if it all looks the same as everyone else's. People are going to, they're going to bypass that. They're going to be like, oh, well, hey, that looks just like, something else I've seen, because I know what Canva content looks like, or I know what, what are some other apps? I know what Canva looks like. Oh, that looks like a Snapchat filter, So people are going to start to kind of, I think, tune out a lot of that. And so you have to kind of find these little niche apps. And this one is pretty neat because you can take some of your existing content. I'm going to go back to this one actually for everybody. But you can take some of your existing content and you can apply text over top of it. But it's unique text. It's not like, oh, this looks just like everything else. Like you can add different color palettes. You can have different ways things fly in and whatnot. And then you can export all of these and you can use them in your storytelling on all of the other platforms that you're using, whether it's Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook. What else have I forgotten? Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. You could do a YouTube video if you want to. Again, you're hearing a lot more repurposing there.
Right.
So that's the app. And normally, if somebody were to do this, for instance, this would actually, this kind of stuff takes a fair amount of editing to do. I mean, you need to have, a high-end graphics program to typically do this sort of stuff. And now you're doing it on your smartphone. It also has some other features that you can do some, like, I think you can do some forwards and backwards features and whatnot. Like they've got a live Vine style feature tapped into this, and then you can swipe to upload. So it's pretty intuitive app to use. So have either of you tried this one?
I have not.
Not yet, but it's intriguing.
Yeah, free download. So worth checking out. So that's all I have for everybody tonight. Clips and Hype Type.
Clips and Hype Type, and that is a wrap essentially. But we want to thank our guest tonight, Kim Boda, for being here. Kim,
thank you.
Really appreciate you coming on and sharing your insights. And
thanks for having me.
And we're excited to see what comes in the vlogging in the future for you. Can you tell us where we can find you? At the beginning of the show, I typed in www.kimboda.com. Where else might people find you on the socials or elsewhere?
You can find me on Twitter at Kim Boda, and you can find me on Instagram at Neurochanges. Neurochanges is my company, my neuroscience company. And I'm also on Facebook. I have a Facebook page called Neurochanges Consulting. And then I also have the real estate page called the Wynn Group Real Estate. So you can find me there as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for saying yes.
Thank you.
You mentioned Sonia Figueroa, who I talked to today about coming on in the future as well.
Awesome.
Because
She's great.
We want to have folks who are we've sort of guided our way into professional services guests, and I think that's fine because that's what we have some familiarity with. So those are going to be our guests. Another upcoming guest will be Kim Boda for those, or not Kim Boda. Kim Boda's here tonight.
Just come back.
Sonia Figueroa. So thanks, Kim.
Cool.
Christian, do you want to take us out?
Sure. I just wanted to say thanks a lot, Kim, for being on tonight. We'll definitely have to have you back as well. I know we've been talking with Jen Herman about exploring some additional types of shows that we might do. So we'll have to see how that plays into things and see how we can have you back.
Yeah,
love it.
So as far as just a quick wrap up for everybody, I want to thank everybody for joining tonight. Thanks a lot, Kim. Thanks a lot, Nick. Next week we are going to actually be on vacation. So Nick and I are going to be on vacation. So we're going to have no live show next week. We're going to be live on April 27th. So next 2 weeks from today at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at facebook.com/social chefs. And just a quick reminder for those of you, if you haven't checked us out on our social media channels, head to we're Social Chefs on every channel. So on Facebook, it's facebook.com/social chefs. Twitter is @social chefs. YouTube is also social chefs. And for those of you who want to get notified about the blog recap, which we will publish on Friday, by the way, we'll have one of those next week. Just go to socialchefs.com/subscribe. That'll get you on the list, and we'll notify you about topics, who the guest is going to be, and then give you that blog recap. So thanks a lot for tuning in tonight, everyone. And want to thank Kim and Nick and everybody who's watching. Thanks a lot for spending your evening with us. We appreciate
Always
it.
A pleasure.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Joe, Lisa, thanks for staying. And Yvette, thank you for showing. Have a great one.
Have a good night.
Night.
Night.